We are slaying monsters.
Don't let the ghosts and the ghouls disturb you, darling.
But we went on a ghost tour in Charleston.
Yes, I did that when I was, I don't know, like in high school, I think, or late middle school. My family, we went to Charleston and we went on a ghost tour, and it was July, and I would not let go of my father's arm, like would not. And he was like, I am dying of heat. And I was like, nope, because I was pretty sure I was going to die or get attacked by a ghost.
How old were you?
Like 12 or 13.
That's so funny. I love that, Katie.
And I've always been fascinated with ghosts and poltergeists and things, but I used to be very, very scared of them. So, like, I was very excited to be there, but I was terrified the whole time.
There's a lot there, too. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, so what was y'all's ghost story in Charleston?
It's called The Real Hauntings of Charleston.
Okay, The Real Hauntings of Charleston.
Not the, but just real hauntings.
Real Hauntings of Charleston. Our tour guide was Vanna, and she was incredible. And if anybody goes to Charleston, wants to have like the best ghost tour experience that you can, Vanna was phenomenal. So she took us around to a bunch of different places. But the thing that I thought was really cool up front was that she talked to the group and had a little like intro session where she was like, what's your background? And then also, do you believe in ghosts? And so she tailors the tour based around the skepticism or belief of the group itself. Not trying to convince you, but just trying to sort of meet you on your level. And I thought it was really, really cool that she did that.
That's awesome.
And she's very passionate about history.
Yep.
And on top of that, she's very funny. She's very clever.
Yeah.
And so you have to be like really listening, because she gets these good zingers in that you could miss if you're not listening.
Yep.
So it's really great. Highly recommend the tour. It's awesome. It's like 90 minutes of fun and history.
And she does her research, like really legit does her research, doesn't just tell you stories. In fact, she would actually go out of her way to be like, most of the ghost tours will tell you that, you know, there's this pub called the Blind Tiger where a woman leapt from the top of the pub and killed herself in the street. And she was like, so everybody just says, oh, it was a sex worker who had a tiff with somebody and leapt. And she did a whole bunch of research into what it actually was and what the story and the history behind it was. And it was this whole like sort of this guy who was having an affair with this woman, and Vanna believes that she was actually not pushed, but was there was a surprise where she was accidentally knocked off the building, and that's why she's like around and haunting. And then they tried to pick her up and move her into the pub. But of course, you don't pick up a body that has just fallen like 3 stories, right? And so they probably injured her more. So there's just all this other context that she gets into, kind of everything that I like love about doing this podcast, that she went into because of all of her historical research, which was just great to hear. And then I also wanted Katie to ask, because the other thing I learned while I was in Charleston was I learned about haints. Have you ever heard of a haint?
No, but I know that's why they paint the porch roofs blue.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what a haint is. I know it's like a spirit, like some kind of like witchy spirit maybe, but like I know that's why they paint the roofs of porches blue.
Yeah, it's just the souls of the dead. It's just, you know, souls of the dead, unfinished business, kind of your typical spirit thing. They come from the Gullah and Geechee mythology.
Okay.
But they will bring you misfortune. So, like, you know, they could wither your crops or they could make you sick or whatever, but they can't cross water. And so you paint your porch this color paint that's actually called haint blue. It's like a light blue color. You paint the ceiling of your porch haint blue, and then it confuses the haints, and they don't know what to do, and they can't come into your house because they think your house has running water in front of it.
That's a cool story. I did not know that was the whole story. I will say also that I have heard that the actual literal practical reason for painting your porch roof blue is that like bugs and will think that it's the sky, and so it decreases like spiders and birds and bugs and stuff, like making homes up in the corners of the rafters of the ceiling of your porch.
Wow.
That was explained to us at a tour that we took. And the tour guide said that, and she said, but I don't think it works that well because there is a nest in this roof. And so yes, yeah, you're totally right. I totally heard that too, Katie. That's really cool.
Yeah. Either way, I think it's a very charming Southern tradition, and it's pretty. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and then the other thing is the bottle tree. You might see these. So you
I have seen a bottle tree, but I don't know what they're for.
That's for trapping haints. So you decorate the trees with the blue glass bottles. You stick them on the trees, and any haints that are wandering by get trapped in the bottles and are stuck there until dawn, and then they disappear in the sunlight.
I love that they just like get stuck in there. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Just guys.
What's the appeal?
The body's like the bottle is like sucking them in. But
I don't know. Maybe they just can't refuse taking a peek in the bottle. Maybe.
A weakness of spirits. You have to go in any bottle you see.
Yes.
Well, that's like the vampire mythology where they need to count. That's I think.
Wait, is that why it's Count Dracula?
Yeah. No. He was an actual count. But I think the Sesame Street thing is...
Sorry. I said Count Dracula. Duh. Of course he was an actual count. Oh my God. But I'm saying the count is a Dracula, is like the count in Sesame Street is a vampire, and he's like supposed to look like Dracula or whatever. Is that because vampires count?
I don't know. I mean, Count Dracula was a figure, so it might just be like a pun on the count. But yeah, there is mythology. I want to say it comes from the Eastern European vampire stories, but that might not be right. But there's some old vampire origin that when a body dies, you scatter seeds on the grave, or you could put a broom on the grave, and when the vampire comes out of the grave, it will either have to count the seeds or count the bristles on the broom and be stuck there until morning, and then it'll go back into the grave.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, I don't know if that's actually the origin of the Sesame Street count character, but I like to think that it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun coincidence, even if they just did it as like you said, Matt, it's like a joke about because it's Count Dracula, and so he's the count and he counts things. But yeah, oh man, he was always such a good character. He's one of my favorites. An underappreciated character on Sesame Street is the Count.
Yeah.
Well, we're slaying monsters. We got Sesame Street enthusiasts. Maddie J.
One Fortean Roundup.
And we got Katie.
Hi. I'm not going to do the voice.
You're not going to do it? Oh, darn. Okay.
No.
And I'm EJ. And yes, we got a Fortean Roundup to do, folks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We got a whole bunch of updates on things that we are sort of following here, which is pretty cool. So let's kick it off with a follow-up to the story of these missing and dead lab workers. So the body of one of the missing scientists with a connection to Los Alamos has been found. A hiker came across remains in the Carson National Forest on May 28th, and they were reported to the authorities and positively identified as Melissa Casillas. Casillas was an administrative assistant at the Los Alamos National Laboratory, and she was reported missing in June of 2025. There was also a handgun found nearby, and the cause of her death is currently undetermined, or at least has not been released. She was considered one of the unusual missing persons cases that were connected with Los Alamos, Wright-Patterson, and other government agencies and contractors that we had talked about in April. Now, according to some outlets, there have been up to a dozen missing persons or fatalities connected to these organizations. Wright-Patterson, of course, has frequently come up in UFO reporting, and they say that's the alleged base where the Roswell craft and the pilots were taken after that crash. Los Alamos has been at the forefront of high-tech engineering, and that's often cited as one of the places where they're reverse engineering UAPs. These disappearances seem to indicate that someone or some organization is trying to get a deeper look at how these facilities operate, but it's really unclear how much of that is true and real and how much of that is just cherry picking after the fact. You know, we have some missing people, and now we're looking into it and we say, a couple of them are from these organizations.
Also, like the article that we looked at that we're referencing is from the BBC, and they also pointed out that a couple of these people, like, their deaths are not mysterious at all. It's just unfortunate circumstances of life. Like, one guy was murdered by his neighbor. Like, that's not mysterious. He just bad luck. And I know that we've talked about this before, and my take has always been like, this is the type of conspiracy I can like really get behind and believe. But this BBC article made me feel a little bad because I do feel for the families where the deaths of their loved ones, mysterious or not, like, right? Some of them not mysterious. Everybody knows what happened. Some of them, people still don't know what happened. And that is its own kind of pain. And so I was like, oh, man, it is a little bit brutal that these things are getting drenched up for all of these families again, because people won't let it go. And I get why, because it is weird. But I hear what you're saying, Matt, and I agree with you that it's like very probable that it's a pattern we're putting on something after the fact. But I don't know. What do you think, EJ?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just have to look at the evidence in front of us. And right now, the evidence just, to me, there isn't evidence. It's just a string of misfortunate events that are loosely, if at best, connected to interesting places. I don't know. I'm kind of with you, Katie. Like, I really feel for the families, and I heard the families are just like, can we please stop making our loved ones' deaths all about conspiracy theories and just let us mourn in peace. So yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, I think the other thing is that a lot of these people who were working in these areas, this is the southwestern United States, which is a big kind of empty place, and there's a lot of hiking and there's a lot of opportunity to sort of get out and get lost in nature. And unfortunately, those things do happen. You know, people go into national parks all the time and get lost or have an unfortunate event and don't come back out, and there's no conspiracy behind it at all. And the reason that these are all connected to these bases is because that's where the bases are, and the bases are in the place where a bunch of these national parks are. And so it's sort of correlation, but not necessarily causation, right?
Yeah. These places are large. Like, we think of them as like, oh, these like specialty places, you have to be, you know, top secret to work there or whatever. Like, no, they're huge institutions full of people that really have nothing to do with, they might have a clearance because they work on the base and might overhear something, but like, their daily job has nothing to do with that. I'll give a great example. None of these people worked at the Pentagon, but there's a Starbucks in the Pentagon. You can have a clearance because you work at the Starbucks in Pentagon, but your job is at Starbucks. You know, you didn't work at the Pentagon unless you're just directly referring to the place. And so there's a little bit of that too, where it's like, okay, these people did work there, but how much did they know? How much were they doing? Even some of the people that worked in actual development of weapons and things, a lot of these people retired 10, 15 years ago. So I know we've discussed that before, but it's like, how much do you, even if it was a conspiracy, like how much do you really know about current projects if you retired 10 or 15 years ago, especially with the rate of change in technology these days?
Yeah.
Oh, very rapid these days. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and especially in these labs that are cutting edge, right? You bring up a great point, though, Katie. Melissa Casillas was an administrative assistant, which is not to. I would never ever say that administrative assistants don't know what's going on. Actually, most of the time, administrative assistants know better than anyone what's going on.
Yeah. And they hold a lot more power than you think.
Yes,
they do.
A lot of power. A lot of power.
Yeah. But she's not exactly necessarily the type of person that you would target. And there's a big divide between her and someone like General McCasland, who we talked about previously, who was, yes, very high up in these development programs, but hasn't worked there for 10 years at least, right? Mm-hmm. The thing about Casillas that's sort of strange, and we can talk a little bit about this, is that her disappearance has some unusual elements connected to it as well. So she was last seen alive on June 26, 2025. She dropped her husband off at work. He also worked at Los Alamos, so she dropped him off there. But she had forgotten her ID badge and had decided to work from home instead. She went back home but never signed on for work that day. She was recorded by security cameras walking New Mexico State Road 518 wearing a backpack later that afternoon. And then when her daughter returned home for the day, she found Casillas' personal phone and work phone and car keys in the house, and both phones had been wiped. So all of this indicates that Casillas left home of her own volition, likely intentionally after forgetting her work badge, like choosing to forget her work badge. She came back home and was going to do this all along. I mean, beyond that, it's all kind of speculation. Like, why did she leave? Why did she reset those phones? And what happened during the intervening years between her disappearance and her death? The site where her remains were found was a site that had previously been searched. So she ended up there at some point between the initial search and the present day. I don't know if she owned the gun. I don't think we know who owned the gun. But I will say that her family indicated that she'd been under a huge amount of stress. And so it's unclear if she had maybe been pushed to the point of just leaving it all behind, walking away from home, or if she had been influenced by someone else or whatever. We don't really know. But those are the elements that kind of raise some red flags for a lot of people as they're investigating this case.
I wonder how many stories like this exist in the country, throughout the years that we don't think about this deeply because the worker is not a staff member of Los Alamos or the Pentagon or something like that. Like they work for, I don't know, a printing company. And and something this strange happens to them and nobody thinks about it. I don't know. It could be as simple as that. It could be that she was just going through a lot right now and we'll never fully understand. And really, it's only for her family to ever know if anybody ever does know. So it could just be that unfortunate coincidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's right. Like I was going to say something similar, EJ. Like it's very possible that this person was just going through a lot and decided she was just going to like up and leave, and she might have been trying to like go and start a new life somewhere else, and then her death was accidental. She got lost or something bad happened to her. Like she was going somewhere, but then, you know, someone with ill intention, like did something to her, or, you know, she meant to harm herself. But I think that like, it's very possible that people do these things. Did you all read the story of that kayaker who like faked his death?
Yes.
And, and like that story is wild to me, like totally wild. And all he wanted was actually just to get divorced. But instead of saying that and leaving his wife for his girlfriend, he decided to fake his death and then like didn't get away with it. But I mean, I'm not saying that this is what this woman did or was trying to do, but like the reality exists that people sometimes decide that they've had enough and they do strange things to try to start over.
And maybe not even start over, but just get a little break, like disappear for a weekend or something like that and be on your own and then come back. You don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually a very common thing, you know. I that definitely floated through my mind. Like maybe she just needed a couple of days and she was just going to go camping somewhere. And,
Sure.
You know, like I don't know. Yeah.
The wiping the phone things is weird. Like why would you do that? But maybe it was because she was like, I really need a break.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want anyone to know where I've gone. I don't want them to be able to see that I like looked up whatever campsite or, you know, I don't know.
Or track you, you know, be able to use Find My Phone or something like that on you. You're just like, hey, not going to happen. I'm going to have no contact with the outside world. I don't know.
Yeah. I will admit that this is strange. Like this is strange to me. Like if I'm being completely honest, the Los Alamos connection is strange. The wiping the phones is strange. The pretending that she left her card behind is like she forgot to leave. There are certain elements to this that are just premeditated and weird, but we need to look at the evidence, and we also we really don't know the full story. All we know as outsiders is a few key bits of information, and we cannot possibly pull a conclusion out of that. Like, and it's unfair to the family and it's unfair to her to do such a thing.
I feel like this has not wrapped up, but like is starting to, like the conspiracy theories about these people. I think a lot more explanations have come to life as people have been looking into it.
Well, I think that also is kind of indicative of the way that news cycles work now, where the idea was floated. I guess General McCaslin disappeared under mysterious circumstances. And then everybody started sort of making these connections. And when I say everybody, I mean like the Daily Mail and some of these news organizations. And then once you get enough of a groundswell there, then the real legitimate news sources like the BBC also need to come in and cover it, because now it's news, for better or for worse.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting that cycle that you just pointed out, because I mean, there's been a lot of research and like legitimate academic research, but then also think pieces on why conspiracy theories have been taken such a hold increasingly in the last like 10 years, right? And I do think that that's part of it. Like these papers have always done this, right? In the 80s and 90s, you would be standing in the supermarket and there would be the tabloids being like, Elvis Presley's alien baby, you know, like there have always been these stories, these papers, the New York Post, the Daily Mail, like writing these stories. But now you have the internet. You have influencers and content creators who are picking up on these stories or doing it themselves and then blasting it out to like millions and millions of people. And then, yeah, I think you're right. It becomes a story because so many people are talking about it. And then the what we consider the mainstream news media is like, well, people are talking about it, so now we need to talk about it in order to say, hey, this probably isn't true.
Yeah.
But it just fuels it even more in a way.
Well, and then you unfortunately have a whole other collection of people who are going to disbelieve everything that the mainstream media says. because it's the mainstream media. And so as soon as the mainstream media covers something, you get a backlash response to that too. That's like, oh, well, why are they trying to sweep this under the rug or say that there's nothing here? And then we're in a whole other cycle of misinformation. Speaking of all of this is actually probably a great way to segue into our next news story, unless anybody has anything else to say on this. But yeah, because there is a journalist who was investigating some Jeffrey Epstein claims, who is fleeing the U.S. after being under attack by directed energy weapons. And this is another thing that we've been tracking for quite a while. We've been tracking this Havana syndrome or direct energy weapons for several months at this point. The latest reporting around this strange technology comes from independent journalist Alyssa Valdez Rodriguez, who runs the Substack The Pugilist. And she claimed that she started experiencing Havana syndrome-like symptoms at her home and her workplace. We also call these anomalous health incidents. These quickly became so disturbing that she had to leave and seek shelter elsewhere, and she's actually now in the process of fleeing the U.S. to avoid future attacks. So Valdez Rodriguez is a Columbia graduate who wrote for the Boston Globe and the Los Angeles Times, and she's currently working independently and trying to unravel this very complex Jeffrey Epstein saga. And she described her attack in a Substack post saying, "Yesterday morning, May 19th, I was working at my desk in my home office when I heard a brief, very high-pitched electronic sound from outside across the street. Immediately afterward, both of my ears went muffled and began burning inside. I felt disoriented and foggy, experienced tremors, and lost my balance. Approximately 20 minutes later, it happened again. I went to the emergency room. I did not have a stroke. I did not have any condition the ER could identify through standard evaluation. These symptoms are consistent with a directed energy weapon of some kind."
And she was doing a story on Epstein.
Yes.
At the time.
For her own Substack, it seems, not like for
the Boston Globe or something.
Yeah, not for the Boston Globe or like the Washington Post or something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And these symptoms do sound similar to the alleged sonic weapon attacks in Venezuela that we covered earlier this year, and also similar to those covered by the 60 Minutes investigation in March. One of the biggest hurdles has always been the sort of anomalous nature of these anomalous health incidents. They're hard to authenticate. The initial investigation in 2018 classified them as stress-induced psychosomatic effects. And that was later affirmed by the American Medical Association and the U.S. intelligence JASON group. But then in 2026, this 60 Minutes investigation came out, and they reported that the U.S. agents had allegedly purchased a small, quote, microwave weapon at a Russian arms deal. And the microwave here, I want to specify, is not like microwaves like you have in your kitchen, but that just means small waves, like small sound waves. They were kind of positioning that as the potential smoking gun in this Havana syndrome riddle. This all has left like a big question to Havana syndrome. Like, is this real? Are these directed energy weapons being used? Who's using them? Why? And was Valdez Rodriguez a target of them?
It's so interesting. So I know that this was the reason you brought this to our attention was the attacks. But I read her article about the communications network at Zorro Ranch, which was Jeffrey Epstein's ranch in New Mexico. Super private. Some of his victims claimed that they were attacked there I was reading this article, and like, I would like to caveat this up front by saying that Jeffrey Epstein did horrible things. I believe we don't even know the half of it. I think that there were many, many people in his network who knew he was doing these things and did nothing about it, or maybe kind of knew and turned a blind eye and were like, I would just like to pretend that I never heard that so I don't have to find out anything else. And I can claim that I never knew, like, that was 100% happening. But her article on this is fucking bananas. I was like, this woman is putting things together and being like, this is connected to this, is connected to this. And it's like Charlie Day's like red string board in It's Always Sunny. I'm like, no, like there's enough objectively terrible shit that Epstein did. Like, you don't need to be like making up excuses for him. Like, I don't know. Perhaps he was for our listeners, her argument is that he had this really high-tech military grade comm system at his ranch. And the only reason he would need she thinks that this proves that he was a spy, not just connected to Mossad, the Israeli CIA, essentially, but also to the U.S. intelligence networks. And like, okay, fine. Like, I actually don't need a ton of convincing to be told that that's a possibility. But like, her talking about that, like, some guy who was in the OSS in 1945 therefore proves that he's like still working in intelligence. I'm like, no, that doesn't prove anything. That's a person who had a job like 60 years ago. And also, nobody recruited Epstein when he was 10 years old to be a spy. This is a claim that she makes in her Substack article. So I just want to talk about this because when we're talking about conspiracies, I think there are two here with this woman. There's her potential attacks, which I'm not saying didn't happen to her. If she's investigating Epstein, I think there's a lot of people who wouldn't be happy about that. He's dead for a reason. I think everybody thinks at this point, but also she herself is engaging in some pretty serious conspiracy theory making on her Substack. And I just want to like say that too, because that was the conspiracy that I latched onto, that I was like, oh man, we need to talk about this because this woman really has like gone out on a limb, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's funny how places like Substack and Medium have sort of become this hub where you can do what feels like authentic journalism, but with no guardrails on it at all. Because I read her article and I read a couple other articles trying to understand like what she was even talking about, and she has this idea that so Zorro Ranch was originally built for a New Mexico politician, and then Epstein had parts of it modified by a Los Alamos company, or by a New Mexico construction company that also did work on Los Alamos. And so her thinking is that he brought in this company that does work on military grade equipment and things like that because he wanted military grade facilities there. And it's true that he had cutting edge, high tech telecom system called Dragon Wave. That was there. It's real. He had an FCC license and all this stuff. That's true. But part of that was probably just because he had a lot of fucking money. And so you just pay the company that's like the biggest, most impressive, most important company to do it too. It's just a lot of these things that I'm looking at. I'm kind of like, that's what rich people do. You want the best satellite you can get. You're like, I'm going to pay the best company to do it.
Yes, I agree. And I think that this is like part of the disconnect of like not understanding how insane and like different the lives of truly rich and connected people are compared to the lives of normal people and like the things that they have access to. Like I'll give another example that would look really, really strange if you were approaching it from this point of view, which is, and I found this on, I heard this on the podcast Hidden Brain, like many, many years ago. It was off the air for a little while and I think it's back on now, but the episode was about a person who is basically like a concierge for or like a wealth manager for incredibly wealthy people. And with private jets, you do not even need a passport to travel. You never go through customs. You go to your private airport, you get on your private jet, you fly to another country, you get off your private jet, and other than like the flight tracking information, because, you know, there has to be a tracker that a plane took off and set down somewhere else. You've never stamped out of or into a country. Like,
wow.
And that isn't something that's just available for like government officials. That's like normal, I have a private jet, rich people folk stuff shit. So like, if you were trying, and if you were trying to say that, like, oh, this person's doing something shady, yeah, they very much could be, because they can be walking onto that plane with anything they want and getting off that plane and no one's tracking them or checking them or anything. Like, they're not going through any airport security at all. That's what I'm saying in terms of like, we don't understand the lives that rich people have. And so I'm just trying to, with that story, to emphasize your point, Matt, that like, could just be that he just got rich people internet and he's well connected. So he had access, like companies that otherwise would not do that for a normal person because it's not worth their time. We're like, sure, we'll take you on as a client and put your fancy ass internet into your house. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, also, we know that Epstein was part of potentially the highest profile sex trafficking ring in the world, right? So he dealt in secrets. He recorded many of his contemporaries' activities, oftentimes with minors. That's enough reason to have a highly encrypted satellite network. You know, you don't even need to be doing traditional espionage if you want to move that data that you have of some of the most powerful people in the world engaging in highly illegal activities. You would want a highly encrypted network to do that. And that seems like enough reason to me to have this dragon wave put in on your ranch and on your island.
Yeah, I mean, Epstein's whole MO was blackmail. To what end, I don't think we'll ever fully be able to unravel. Because, like everybody here said, like, he's so highly and deeply connected to different aspects of all the strings that are pulled in this world. Like, we don't know how deep the blackmail could be and what things it might have set off.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah. I don't have much to say personally about this just because I have to admit I did not read her article. So sorry. But
You're missing some.
I'm missing it.
Yeah, you're missing some stuff. There was also another article that came out on someone else. I'm not even going to mention who it was because they took it even further and filled it with lies, including that the same company that worked on Los Alamos and worked on Zorro Ranch had also been part of the Manhattan Project, and that was just flat out not true.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, EJ, you should read it if you want to. And I mean, we should get back to the weapons piece of this, but like, it was a little hard for me to read because first off, she could use an editor. And also like, it's a kind of disjointed because she's like connecting a bunch of things. So it's a little bit challenging to read. And also there's a lot of that writing style that I think we've talked about and critiqued on this podcast, which is like, you don't need to be an expert to realize what this means. And then she'll like move on. And you're like, what does it mean? Like, what are you saying exactly? Like,
Wow,
and or for me, I would be like, I don't think it means anything. So like, I'm rereading the paragraph and I'm like, you're making it seem like I should be thinking something, but like, I think you just gave me a bunch of random facts, like or things that you're claiming are facts, because she says these emails are, her source material is supposedly the Epstein files, and all of her sources have been published in the Epstein files.
I also don't know how much credence we can give to some of that stuff,
Yeah.
Like obviously, and some things are well known and whatever, but I'm not sure that just like a random email that Epstein sends that's like, I want a better satellite communication, should be interpreted as like, I need a better satellite communication because I'm going to report it back to
because I'm a spy.
Yeah, Israeli military. Like, it doesn't make sense.
I know. There's also a whole thing in there about how some guy that she's linking, one of the OSS guys that she's like linking to this whole thing very loosely, I might add, is the father of Bill Barr, the former attorney general. And I'm like, so that's just called rich people nepotism. And like rich people begat well-educated, well-connected, well-educated in that they went to the right schools. Who knows if they're actually educated. But anyway, begat people who are well-connected and also end up in high-ranking positions. Like that is nothing, that's not a conspiracy. That's just how the world works.
Yeah.
Like, anyway, it was just full of stuff like that. I do think that Epstein was in deep, like you said, EJ. And I do think that like whoever's still around is like not thrilled that when people start digging around in his files and reporting on it and stuff like that. I don't know if some random woman who just writes a Substack now is enough of a threat to someone with a high energy weapon. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say, I mean, who knows what happened to her? Like, clearly something, I don't want to say she's lying that this happened to her, but I just don't know. I just don't know if she's enough of a target,
Yeah, I really don't know. Whenever these things come up, initially I always want to land on the side of skepticism, but as these directed energy weapon reports it's becoming harder and harder to do. I don't know that they're necessarily targeting a random person somewhere, but it does seem an awful lot like something was used in Venezuela. We know that there are large-scale directed energy weapons that are mounted on like aircraft carriers and jeeps and stuff like that are used as like crowd deterrents and things. I mean, I think we just continue to follow this, and it's one of the more interesting conspiracy theories that are going on right now, I think. All right, let's get to something that's a little bit weirder, a little bit creepier. Let's talk about demons and demonic possession, and the exorcist who was just demoted from his position for claiming that demons may be disguising themselves as aliens. We are talking about Monsignor Stephen Rossetti of the Washington, D.C. Archdiocese, or at least formerly of the Washington, D.C. Archdiocese. He was, I suppose, is a licensed psychologist and was a professional exorcist. Heavy air quotes on that. Professional exorcist.
It's like being a professional ghost hunter.
I don't think that you can put heavy air quotes. Like that is a real job in the Catholic Church. We might not believe that what this man is doing is an exorcism, but that is a real job.
It is a real job. You're right.
So he was technically a professional exorcist.
Okay. Yes.
I'm just saying, a friend of mine, I will protect the innocent. A friend of mine dated a man, and this man had left the Catholic Church. He was becoming a priest, and he left the Catholic Church because he realized that he was a gay man, and he decided that, he didn't want to be a priest anymore, or that, it didn't go along with the teachings. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't know him that well. However, he was in training to become one of these exorcist priests. And he confirmed, as this article talks about, that there is one in every diocese. It is it is a thing. And this man believed in demons. Like, he still believed in demons. He didn't like to be outside after night because there are demons. So
I love that so much.
Did he believe that they were disguising themselves as aliens?
I don't think so. I don't think so. That's the piece we can talk about. I just want to say, we might think this man is crazy for saying he's a professional exorcist, but that is a job that exists.
Okay. Well, yes. So he's a professional exorcist, was a professional exorcist. Made headlines earlier this month when a press release from Cardinal Robert McElroy announced his demotion. I can only I only see this as like a 1980s style police scene where he's like, I need your rosary and your Bible, Rossetti. Yeah. Don't you even think about going after those demons on your own. So apparently the reason for his demotion was that Rossetti had taken to social media and was claiming that UFOs and aliens were likely demons. He wrote on Facebook, "It is my personal belief that many, if not most, of these UFO sightings are in fact demons."
Why do they care that much? I mean, why does the diocese give a shit what this guy thinks about? Like, we have politicians in the government saying that aliens are angels. So why do we give a fuck if an exorcist thinks they're demons? How does that hurt the image of the church? How does that do anything but actually help?
That's such a good point, EJ. I mean, I think, like, this article says this to you. Like, I think that the church was not thrilled that he was an influencer, basically, and that he was creating content around his job as an exorcist and, like, talking about demons and things in that way. And I think that I think it's probably more that than he thinks demons are disguising themselves as aliens piece of it. Yeah. Like, I think they were like, you are selling the seriousness of the church by, like, going out there on the internet and, like, talking about what you do. I don't know. That piece of it I kind of get. Like, it's like, no. Like, maybe you can be an influencer in that, like, you're like, oh, I'm a loving priest and, like, we help the church. But you're, like, out there, like, being sensationalist about shit that they take seriously, that they want other people to take seriously, like, within the church. I don't know. That's, like, I feel like, you know, that's why he got demoted, because you're speaking on behalf of the church. I feel like there was that, I kind of thought it was like a badass quote when Trump was in a fight with Pope Leo. I think he was saying something about peace and, like, what the Bible says about peace. And Trump was like, oh, that's just his opinion. And the Vatican released a statement that was like, when the Pope speaks, it's not his opinion. It's, like, the teachings of God or something like that. And I was like, whatcha? I don't believe that, but that's fucking badass.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, but I think that that's how they see it. It's like, you're speaking on behalf of the church and you're not, like, you can't be out there, like, saying this shit. So, like, no, move along, sir. I don't know.
Yeah. You wear that. You wear the cloth, and you are a representation of the church, no matter what you say first. Like, if you say, "This is my personal belief," that's fine, but you still work for the church. Like, you can't parse the two. You can't separate the two.
Right. Yeah. So it's hard for you to be an exorcist influencer, and he was absolutely an exorcist influencer. He was, like, leveraging YouTube and TikTok to communicate his messages of salvation,
which is wild. Number one, smart, good job, buddy. Like, because people are gonna watch that shit, absolutely, especially if you're like, I'm an exorcist. Like, they're like, oh, okay, if there's a trusted source, I guess you're it.
That's the point, and I think that's, like, the biggest problem. I completely agree with you. Is that, and if you think about, and I could be wrong, so forgive me, but I've watched a lot of ghost hunting shows, and I've seen a lot of priests, air quotes, come into the shows and do exorcisms. to my knowledge, they are not actually affiliated with the Roman Catholic Church. They are different sects.
I can't imagine that a legitimately affiliated Roman Catholic exorcist would go on a ghost hunting show. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, because there's so as flawed as the Catholic Church is, there's a unspoken humbleness, and that you put the church first and that you put your flock first, and you don't make it about yourself. You make it about the teachings of God and the Bible and all these things. And I think that's what is a big difference between like what we see these like evangelical, like big tentpole preachers and like, you know, fancy preachers with their big jets and their crazy compounds, and it's all about them. And I think that's like the big difference. And I think in certain Christian sects, you can jump out of your little box and say, I declare this to be true. But when it comes to the Catholic Church, I think they're very strict about these things. And so the fact that he did get demoted makes perfect sense to me because of that. Not so much because of what he said, but because he is saying it, and he is trying to become an influencer. I don't know. But you're right. I totally agree with you, Katie.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I think they said that at the end too. The article said this at the end, which is that like, it's not just that like you shouldn't be saying these things on the internet. It's that it is not about you. It is about the church. And like you trying to get this personal power for yourself is trying to have you have more power than the institution. And the Roman Catholic Church is like, no, it's like God and then the institution. And you are just a little pawn. Like
yes,
it's
you're
not
a messenger.
about you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're not even a messenger. You're just I don't know. You're not. Yeah. It's like
a conduit or something.
A conduit, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to say, like, he was really pushing that influencer idea too. I looked at some of his Instagram posts, and it's like, how exorcists know liberation is near, and all demons share this one thing, which is very like BuzzFeedy, you know?
Yeah, clickbaity. Yeah.
Yeah, and not what I would think the Roman Catholic Church how they would want to portray themselves, you know? I remember there was this movie from directed by William Friedkin, who famously directed The Exorcist. It's a documentary called The Devil and Father Amorth, and it is just it's just an actual exorcism from a real trained exorcist, like a real legitimate exorcist. It's actually a very boring movie because it's the exorcism basically in full, and not a whole lot goes on throughout the process of it. But I remember that William Friedkin had to jump through a whole lot of hoops and assure them that he was not going to manipulate this in any way or make it seem like anything it wasn't, and all of that before they would even allow that exorcist to be filmed. And so I think it's crazy that, yeah, there are these alleged exorcists that go on ghost hunting shows and do these things, because that's obviously you're just some people who think you know exorcism. You haven't really gone through the exorcist rites, or you wouldn't allow yourself to be portrayed that way, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, and I've seen that doc, and it is deeply boring.
Yeah.
And I think it's
so boring.
But I think that's the point, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's anytime there's that sensationalism with these ghost hunting shows, it's like definitely not the true quote unquote Roman Catholic Church. That said, exorcism is not true, and it's all bullshit. But
yeah. Also, there's also that part
also
of it,
that
caveat,
which we haven't really got to. Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, so most exorcisms, especially early exorcisms, were political moves, or at least politically motivated, and they were often used to leverage the church's power or to unseat their opposition. I want to give you one really fun example real quick. In 1634, a group of French nuns claimed that they had been possessed by the demons Asmodeus, Behemoth, and Leviathan. These demons allegedly caused the nuns to swear, bark like dogs, and walk backwards with their hands holding their ankles, kind of like walk around doing backbends, basically. The demons were allegedly summoned by local priest Urbain Grandier. Grandier was a ladies' man who had relations with several of the noble women. He also pissed off Cardinal Richelieu when he wrote a series of satires attacking the church and the cardinal directly. And worse than that, Grandier opposed a plan to demolish the town's wall and consolidate power as a part of the Catholics' feud with the Huguenots. Siding with the Huguenots and against the church's gentrification put Grandier squarely in Richelieu's sights. And a series of exorcisms was performed on these nuns, none of whom actually knew Grandier. But a Catholic bishop produced a pact that was allegedly signed by priest Grandier and the devil, and that was like the smoking gun of the case.
Oh my God.
Grandier was executed. After his death, the nuns returned to their like normal nunly duties, and eventually rumors of that possession would reach the New World and partly inspire the Salem witch trials when it came to these sort of more intelligent and thinking people who realized, wow, you can leverage the power of the devil and the power of Satanism to get what you want. We were able to remove this person who was a dissenter of Cardinal Richelieu. He was also able to demolish this wall and put the Huguenots on the back foot. It seems like these are all really archaic, but this shit is still around today. And one more story for you, because this is 1976, less of a fun story. An exorcism led to the death of Annalisa Michel, a teenage girl with epilepsy. The local bishop, Joseph Stangl, decided that her condition was actually demonic possession and performed 67 exorcisms on her, ultimately causing her death through dehydration and malnourishment. Now, Stangl was convicted of negligent homicide, and the Catholic Church came under massive fire for misrepresenting what was a very clear-cut and well-known medical condition as fucking demonic possession. 1976.
I'm just very disturbing. I have nothing to say.
Well, I will just conclude all of that by saying it is wild to me that influencer culture has become so ubiquitous that we now have it's becoming a contention for major religions. Like, welcome to the era of celebrity priests on TikTok.
Never thought I'd see that.
Now. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me really. But I mean, I feel like what you said, EJ, like actually, I think you made such a good point about the fact that like we see these types of influencer priests and have for a long time, even prior to the internet, in like more evangelical sects of religion. Sure. But the Catholic Church, they're just not usually the ones that are out there like that. So, yes. But everyone is susceptible to those side hustle bucks.
Hell yeah, we're all human.
Okay. And in our final story, we get some Sasquatch news. A new Bigfoot sighting coming out of Idaho. A group of 10 teenagers on a camping trip claimed that they were terrorized by several Sasquatches during a recent stay in the Payette National Forest. So this group was spending Memorial Day weekend camping there, and allegedly they had an incident. First, it occurred on Friday night when the key witness, Kyra, claimed that she and her friend, either Abby or Abi, spotted a tall, dark figure stalking through their campsite. The next day, while walking through the woods, she felt like she was being followed and she heard whistling. That night, they overheard the sounds of someone trying to start their car, followed by aggressive rhythmic knocking like a woodpecker. And then on Sunday, they encountered the creature. One of the teens grabbed their rifle and fired off warning shots, and it disappeared into the forest, at which point they decided that they were going to hunt it down. A pair of them claimed that they saw a trio of Sasquatches, which hid behind trees and I guess tried to separate them from the rest of the group, maybe to do them harm. So they fired warning shots at these Sasquatches as well, which is kind of fucking terrifying considering these kids were just wandering through the woods and didn't know what they were shooting at. Mm-hmm. When they were packing up their camp at the end of the trip, they found handprints on their car and a circle of broken limbs and branches. So as soon as they got home, they reported their encounter to the Bigfoot Research Organization, and head researcher Matt Moneymaker investigated their claims and decided that they were genuine. Of course, Matt Moneymaker would also believe me if I said I saw a Bigfoot ordering a cheesesteak with Wiz at Pat's, so it's not really a whole lot of confirmation that he believes them.
This is not so much to do with the Sasquatches, but I'm just saying, as a teenager, if my friends were like, hey, let's go camping in the woods, and then one of them has a fucking gun, I'd be like, bye. See you later.
Yeah. I mean, first off, this was written in a way that made me think that it was fake. Like, literally entirely made up.
It sounds made up.
It sounds not even made up by one of these kids. I mean, like, this author made up a story and named these teenagers. I don't think anyone in this story actually exists, except for Matt Moneymaker. I seriously, like, the way it read, I was just like, this is fiction, right? You're badly writing fiction. But
it sounds like a horror book.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. And then my second thought was, there are creepy dudes at your campsite. You should have left. That was my immediate thought. I was like, weird dudes are like in the woods near you. You should leave. Yeah. And then my third thought was, these kids were probably high the whole time too. And then I was like, I wasn't so, like, they're kids in Utah, like they have a gun, whatever, like maybe they hunt deer or something like that. But I was kind of like, it's not good that there's a gun involved. What are you shooting at? It's weird that my brain kind of was, when they were shooting, I was like, oh, they're just animals or whatever. Like, I assumed they're not bears, but like that they were animals. But my first thought was that there were creepy dudes around. So I should have had your thought, Matt, which is like, you're just shooting at random things. Like, that's bad. Like, what if they actually were people, regardless if they were trying to creep you out or if they were actually trying to do you harm or if they're just playing a prank?
Don't shoot them.
Don't shoot them. That's going to make it all a lot worse.
Don't shoot at something unless you know what it is. That's just a good rule.
Just a good rule. But like, nothing about this, like everything about this, I was just like, this is ridiculous. This whole thing is ridiculous. I don't know. Like, give me a good Sasquatch story.
My favorite part of the story is that Bigfoot was trying to carjack them. Oh,
yes. Yeah. Sorry, like, that one too. I was like, what? No, they don't drive. They're animals.
Yeah. What? Like, I could understand it trying to break into your car. Like, that makes sense. And that I mean, like bears trying to do that too. Yeah, absolutely. Right. But no, it was trying to start their car. Like, did it want to take a joyride? That
Another
to me
moment where you're like, get the fuck out of there. Someone tried to steal your car. Go home. Get a different campsite. I don't care. Stop. Don't be there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the first night where I saw somebody moving in the woods, I would say, I'm leaving. Mm-hmm. I'm leaving. Somebody's going to drop me off at the nearest fucking bus stop.
The nearest place I can get an Uber.
Yeah. In every horror movie, there's the first incident, and that's when you leave. You don't wait until things get really bad. You fucking leave right when the first bad thing happens.
Yes. This is why the very few horror movies I have watched, when like the women stay, I'm like, no woman would stay. Any woman would be like, no, I'm done. Like, women's senses of like, shit's about to go down and there are men involved. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Yeah, I agree, Jay. Like, these people, if they stayed, well, this is where my like, they were all really high, like, part comes in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Katie. It seems an awful lot like teenagers playing pranks. I think it's either, if it's true, if it's not a completely made up story, which it's hard to tell because the narrative. And I read the piece on the BFRO website, which sounds like it's just a stream of consciousness vomit. But if it's true, it's either teenagers playing pranks on each other in the woods, or someone was there and was trying to either get their car or just fuck with them, or maybe even cause them harm. Either way, I don't think that there's any evidence to indicate that this is a Sasquatch. I will say that Matt Moneymaker is going to dispatch his own team out to that site at some point, and he's going to do an actual investigation of the site. So we can look forward to all of the reporting that I'm sure he will do, and all the strange divots in the ground that he's going to be like, this is a Sasquatch track.
Awesome. I'm glad that we're going to have a follow-up story on this.
Me too.
That's good. That's good. And you said this was Utah, right?
No, this is Idaho.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought Utah. Okay,
I thought
Idaho.
Utah too. I think I said Utah earlier.
Okay.
So
Okay.
sorry
Yeah,
for
no,
that.
it's Idaho.
No,
Yeah.
it's all good.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Idaho.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Interesting.
Idaho, even more likely that they have a gun. So
Yeah, and bears.
And
I mean,
bears.
it could be bears. I think Matt Moneymaker is going to find a lot of bear evidence and confuse it with Sasquatch.
Yeah, that's pretty much what Matt Moneymaker does.
That's pretty much what all these Bigfoot hunters do.
That's his job.
Yeah.
Also, when they're like loud knocking, like a woodpecker, I'm like, could it be a woodpecker? Hold on. I'm Googling right now if there are woodpeckers in Idaho. I'm sure there are.
Oh, there definitely. I will say the knocking was at night, but I also don't think it's that crazy that a woodpecker might be knocking at night or at dusk.
According to the AI overview, Idaho is home to nearly a dozen native woodpecker species, ranging from the massive crow-sized pileated woodpecker,
Pileated
woodpecker,
yeah.
in mature northern forest to the tiny downy woodpecker.
Also, if the wind is hitting in a certain way, trees can knock into each other and sound just like knocking. It wouldn't be the rapid fire knock of a woodpecker, but it would be knocking. That's what happens in the woods. Trees knock together all the time.
This is just the Sasquatch investigator thing where you're like, I heard this knocking. It sounded just like a woodpecker, but it wasn't a woodpecker. It was a Sasquatch. I'm like, why wasn't it a woodpecker?
Wait, if it's not a woodpecker, why is it a Sasquatch and not limbs knocking together? Like, again, Occam's razor. Like, what's the most logical answer here?
Because Sasquatch researchers are looking for Sasquatch. This is, and it's more ingrained in that type of researcher than I would say in almost any other researcher that I've ever seen. Because I think that there are a good number of ghost hunters, especially the ghost hunters, who will debunk something when they see it, or they'll attempt to debunk it. It's very, very rare that a Sasquatch researcher will try to debunk something. They are there to find evidence of Sasquatch, not to investigate phenomena.
Yeah, and I have to admit my own personal bias, because when I am there, I am, as a wood knocking enthusiast, I always am finding trees knocking together when actually it's a Bigfoot. So, sorry.
It's so funny you brought up ghost hunting, Matt, because I was going to say the wood knocking to me is very similar. When not all ghost hunters do this, and especially the ghost hunters, were very good at, I think, generally not doing this. But when they're in an old house and they hear creaking in the middle of the night, and then they're like, what is that sound? I'm like, that sound is the 100-year-old house you're in shifting. Like, what are you talking about? What is that sound? You go in old houses all the time. It's nothing. And they will do that sometimes. And I'm just like, I know you need something for the show, guys, but like, really?
Yeah.
You got to give me more than that. It can't be a floorboard creaking. The floorboards are creaking because of nothing. It's just what houses do.
I think that's our Fortean Roundup for June. Good job, team.
Yeah, we did it.
Awesome.
Woohoo! I like this one. It was we went all around the conspiracy theory globe, as it were.
Did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for listening. If you're feeling generous, head over to slayingmonsterspodcast.com, click on the Support Us button at the top of the page, and consider becoming a supporter there. Also, check out our merch store. We got a lot of cool stuff. And until next time, it is a weird world, so be safe out there.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Slaying Monsters, the Fortean History Podcast. If you like the podcast, there's a couple ways you can show your support. You can tell your friends, you can leave us a rating and review on your podcast platform, or you can head over to slayingmonsterspodcast.com and click on the Support Us button to leave a donation. For questions, suggestions, and other feedback, reach out to us, slayingmonsterspodcast@gmail.com, and stay up to date by following us on socials at Slaying Monsters Podcast. Your support helps us grow, and we are truly grateful to have our listeners and community.